Hey, back out here in the garage, ready to do a little bit more work. If you remember last time, I'll put a link up there in case you didn't. We left off with this 4.3 liter V6. And last time we messed with it, we ran it and did some compression testing on it. Found out a couple of the cylinders had low numbers for compression. To include this, this back one over here had some pretty poor, like barely made any compression, about 30 PSI. We put oil in it, cranked it over again, and the compression went up. And then after a while, it went back down to where it was before, which tells me the rings are bad. Although my ear, I could hear it hissing here in the exhaust valve too, so I think my valve seats are bad in it. I could mess with it and try to come up with a way of getting it to work how it is, but I gotta tear this thing apart. I really didn't want to, but I have to. So that's what I'm gonna try to get done today. I have a few minutes out here in the garage before my evening duties call, and I wanna start tearing into this thing and see if I can at least get it torn down to where we can inspect some parts, make sure that it's still standard everywhere and things look good, and then I'll order a set of rings and bearings and a timing set, and we'll put it back together. Not all of it today. We're gonna just try to get it torn down a little bit as best we can. So, hey, bear with me. I've got my new shelves set up here, so I'm gonna be just ripping stuff apart, trying to catch all the fluids and whatnot, and then just stacking parts on the shelves where they can store while we make this project happen. Alright, hey, it turns out if you take all the head bolts out, those heads come off a lot easier. Here it is, man, top end ripped off. You can kind of see what we're looking at. You know what, I'm going to get a flashlight so we can poke in there better. There we go. This is what we're looking at. The engine, you can see a little bit of crosshatch in there still. Yeah. You know, the good thing is I don't see any broken pistons, or over here on the heads I didn't see any burned valves or anything. That one's oiled up because that's the one we dumped oil in last time we were doing the compression test. Yeah, that valve looks like it's a little stuck down actually. That exhaust valve on the back there. Yeah, it seems like it's sticking out a little bit. It'll need to be cleaned up, all lapped in again. I'll do that. Maybe put some seals on the top. Yeah. The heads don't look like they're in too bad a shape, and the cylinders don't look too bad either. This is the one that had all the issues. And you can see a little discoloration down there. Let me see if I can rotate the engine in and get that to go down. Okay, yeah, so I hope I never actually spent money on this tool, because this is like the one time I'm ever going to use it. But here we go. Oh, let's go the other way. That's pretty much near the bottom of the hole there. And it's all dirty because we shoved a bunch of oil in the cylinder when we were compression testing it, and it knocked a bunch of the carbon loose, and so... Okay, well, man, I don't know. I'm not too disappointed because I don't see any holes in the pistons or broken ringlands. I don't like the little bit of, it's like rust, discoloration I see on the wall there. I don't like that. There's a little bit on that cylinder too. I believe this one was the one that was low compression when we tested it as well. It wasn't as low as that one, but it was like, oh, I don't know, 90, when the others, the good ones, were testing out like 140. So it looks good. I think just the rings are worn out on it. There we go. Well, that's all the time I have for tonight. I gotta go in and make some dinner real quick and get things cranking for the evening. But there we go, top end's ripped off. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I don't see any oversized markings on these pistons, which tell me they're probably stock, which is good. Maybe, I don't know, I guess it doesn't really matter at this point. But I don't see anything broken, and I don't see cylinders that are trashed out. So I don't think this block, I think we'll be able to get away without machine work. So the plan for this thing is going to be dingle ball hone, rings, bearings, timing set, put it back together. All right, back for day 2 of 4.3 liter V6 engine teardown. We got to get the bottom end out today, as yesterday we got the whole top end off the engine heads intake. First we're going to pull the camshaft, lifters, and then we get to roll this thing over. So join me here on day 2, also known as dump antifreeze all over your garage floor day of engine teardown. Okay, so I got the fluids kind of drained out a little bit there. I'm gonna take the camshaft, or the lifters out, excuse me, first. And this is the little keeper, obviously, that holds the dog bones in and all these lifters. You definitely want to do this before you start rolling the engine over and all that, because things start falling apart. A little tip, little trick I picked up along the way for doing these lifters. This is a roller camshaft, so I don't think it really matters. I don't know, you tell me, put a comment down below. Does it matter if the lifters go back in the same hole, on the same lobe on the camshaft with a roller lifter? I don't know. Anyway, I've got this little guy that I made right here out of some foam. Looks just like this. I'm going to pop those lifters out and shove them down in those holes, and then that'll just go on the shelf like that, so that I know my lifters all go back into the same spot. We'll rip that apart, and then it'll be time to roll the engine over and tear into the bottom end. Alright guys, well, we got the bottom end cracked open. You know, you can tell a lot about how an engine was treated based on how it all looks on the inside. And I don't know, I'm not so optimistic about this one. It's got a little bit of sludge down in the pan there. A little bit sludgy, a little bit of sludge, and it looks like some parts on the oil pickup tube. That's good, that's interesting. Huh, well, nonetheless, this is it. I'm gonna come in here now, and the next thing I'm gonna do is label each of my rods. You know, put the number of them on the caps, so that the caps go back on the same rod, and the rod goes back in the same hole with the right, you know, according with the appropriate piston, is what I'm trying to say. So there we go. She's cracked open, looks pretty good. I'm gonna have to take a break now, as I gotta go pick up the kid from school. And the next time you see me, we're probably gonna have this thing with the crank coming out of it, because now I've got to come back, engine hoist, hang it, pull the flywheel, bolt it back on to the engine stand without the flywheel, and then we can get the mains out, pull the crank after we drop the rods out. And I got to pull the balancer, and anyway, lots to do. Okay, a couple of things. First one, if you haven't seen my little video, which I modified this hoist to make it much easier, here it is. Here's the trick. Weld a little bolt to the tab, and it gives you precise abilities to lower that thing. Second thing, some of you guys might be questioning, why did I even have the engine on here with the flywheel on? It's because if you hit the little link up there for the video, I did a compression test on this engine with it on the stand in my last video. So watch that one, check it out, and see why I had to have the flywheel on with it on the stand and go through that rigmarole to get it off. Now, it's off. I'm gonna rip this off. Balancer comes off. Front cover, timing cover comes off. And I'll leave the camshaft. No, camshaft comes out so that I can get the timing chain off. And then it'll be time to get the pistons, drop them out. Whew. So much to do, so little time. So we're going to replace this bad boy. It's probably a good idea. You can see how much slack there is, and really how much the camshaft gets to move. Okay, we're going to leave this camshaft in for now. Let's get these rods and pistons dropped out. Last time was right after we got done filming. I went ahead and knocked my numbers into them. And if you look, you can see here 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on. All the way back. I've got the rod and the rod cap. That way I know which one matches and which direction it matches. I only numbered them on the outside so that when this thing goes, when the rod and piston go back in, they line up and I can tell exactly which one they should go on. So that's how I'm going to do that. This should be pretty easy to knock these out. There's not too much ridge on here, so they should come out pretty easily. But let's go ahead and do that. Let's rip these off real easily now. I don't want to get any into the crankshaft at all with the rod bolts, so I'll be going real easy sliding them out of here. I'll put the cap and the nuts back on them, and then we'll go put them over on the shelf with the rest of the parts. Okay, there we go. Numero uno piston. If you look at that rod bearing, my goodness, that bearing's trashed. Thankfully the crank isn't bad. It's got a little score mark on it, but I think it's going to be able to just polish up. Some of you guys may wonder how durable this 4.3 V6 is, and you'll get mixed results from folks. I think they're very durable and they'll put up with a lot. However, you just got to watch big stuff. Like from what I've seen, you try to put boost to them and stuff like that, that's when you start running into problems. But I do know of a couple of guys that ran one of these on a dune buggy and wound that thing up so much in RPM that it actually stretched some rod bolts. So those dudes bought a rod bolt. I think actually they stole the rod bolt out of a small block Chevy and went over, replaced the rod bolt on that Chevy V6, torqued it down, and sent it again. And that thing, so that's pretty durable. I know that when I was a kid growing up, my parents had one. My mom drove a Chevy Astro van with the 4.3. And that was a pretty durable rig. So hopefully this one will hold up for me. Okay, just like my rod bearings, I've numbered my main caps because of course you never want to screw those up. You want to go back to the same place they came out. Bearings look pretty good. Let's go ahead and pop them out. All right, and this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Get you a close-up here. Before we uncrank this engine, I want to show you. Yeah, all my journals look pretty good. They look like they're in great shape. That's good news, because now instead of having to take this thing and have it ground and undersized with different bearings, I can just go back together standard bearings and just polish it. That'll be fun. That'll be a fun thing when we get going to put it back together. So I'm going to pop this guy out real quick. We'll put it on the shelf. Then it's time to hang it up. This is it. Engine teardown complete. Come back next time. We're going to inspect this engine. We're going to clean it, and we're going to make it look good, get ready to reassemble. Thanks for following along.